Hey everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at another IEM from Kiwi Ears. You'll remember that I recently looked at the Kiwi Ears Quartet and I quite liked it. It was quite a bass heavy set of IEMs, although you could tune that a little bit with those funny switches at the back. But Linsoul, thank you very much Linsoul, have sent me the Kiwi Ears Quintet to have a look at. As ever, this is not a paid review. They're not sponsoring the channel, but they did provide the sample free of charge. But anyway, coming on to the Kiwi Ears Quintet, unsurprisingly, they feature 5 drivers. The quartet had 4, the quintet have 5, but it's a completely different driver array. So this time round, we get one dynamic driver, which is, I believe, responsible for the kind of subwoofer bass frequencies. Then we have 2 balanced armature drivers, Knowles balanced armature drivers, which supply the mid-range. Then we've got what Kiwi Ears are calling a microplanar driver for treble, and also this novel piezoelectric bone conduction driver also for the high frequencies. Quite often multi-driver arrays have problems with articulation, and what you get is sometimes a very uneven sound. We'll see whether this is the case with the quintet in a minute. But props to Kiwi Ears for including, again, some nice accessories. So we get a nice hard case, which is big enough to store the IEMs, the cable, a couple of spare ear tips, and even a dongle DAC if that floats your boat. The cable itself is quite nice. It's a kind of a twined grey affair with a metal 3.5mm termination and 2-pin connectors to the IEMs. It's fairly tangle proof and free of microphonics. The IEMs themselves, I think, are very nicely built. There's an aluminium metal faceplate with the Kiwi Ears logo, and the IEMs themselves are built from some kind of surgical grade resin, I'd imagine, with fairly thick 6mm nozzles which stick into your ears a fair bit. There is a selection of tips provided, but it's not the most extensive. Perhaps for 200 quid I would expect a little bit more, but I found a pair that fit me very well and gave me a good seal. Comfort-wise, I managed to wear these for hours on end. They stay in my ears very comfortably when I'm walking around, and I didn't have to take them out due to irritation or anything like that. How do these 5 drivers play together? Is it a total mess, or does it sound well integrated? Well, after extensive listening, I'm pleased to report that I love the sound signature that we get here. I've been listening to all my usual mix of rock, alternative, EDM, classical music. You know me, I'm into all kinds of stuff. And the Kiwi Ears Quintet copes really, really well with all of these genres of music. So if we look at the sound signature first, this is the frequency response graph, courtesy of one of my fellow audio geeks. And as you can see, we do get some emphasized bass, but it's mainly in the sub-bass region, which is attenuated as we get towards the lower mids. So this means that the mid-range is really neutral as far as IEMs go. And then we get a little bit of treble spice and treble extension. But graphs are graphs. How do these sound when you're actually listening to them? Well, I would say they sound excellent in terms of frequency response. So yes, we do get some low-end bass rumble. So Massive Attack's mezzanine is rumbling away nicely, and you get good layer separation between the sub-bass and the mid-bass. The mid-bass doesn't kick like a mule like the quartet did, for example. So if you're a real fan of EDM with heavy mid-bass impact, you might find these a little bit tame for your liking. They're perfect for me. The lower mids are not coloured by the bass and consequently sound just slightly on the leaner side. Now that's no bad thing, but it does mean that if you like rich gravelly male vocals, then you might find these just a little bit thin, but I thought it was fine. The mid-range comes across very cleanly, very well separated from the bass, and there's really good instrument definition. The leading edge of notes and the dynamics come across really well. So if you listen to Smashing Pumpkins, the 1993 CD release of Siamese Dream, can't believe that album's 30 years old. Now that's mastered beautifully, so there's a big dynamic range between quiet and loud in a track like Soma. That's a great track for testing macro dynamics, you know, when the band suddenly go from being really quiet to full volume. and I think the quintet handles that transition really, really well. In terms of the treble, I think this is perhaps one of the most impressive aspects of the quintet. That microplanar driver, whatever it is, and the bone conductor are doing a great job, and certainly the detail resolution across the range sounded pretty good to me. In terms of technicalities, because remember, sometimes a brilliant frequency response can be let down by poor technicalities, I'm pleased to say that the technicalities are equally impressive. So we get a really nice sense of scale. The soundstage is surprisingly wide for IEMs. Imaging's really good. I could pinpoint instruments in the mix when listening to orchestral music. I think that the timbre on the whole is excellent. So if you're listening to acoustic music, something like Kristen Hirsch's Hips and Makers, which is basically Kristen, her voice, the guitar, and sometimes a cello backing, it sounds really full-bodied and pure and organic. So overall, I think this is an excellent set of IEMs at the £200 price point. Now, obviously the main competitors are going to be the likes of the Moondrop Kato and the 7Hz Timeless. Now, I've not heard the Kato myself. I hear they're very well regarded. Compared to the Timeless, I would say the quintet sounds a little bit more relaxed. The presentation isn't so much in your face, particularly with respect to the upper mids, where the Timeless can be quite aggressive, and also the Timeless has a little bit more of a bass punch, particularly in the mid bass. So if you like a livelier presentation, you might skew towards the Timeless. The quintet is more versatile because there are more genre of music that sound good on the quintet than do on the Timeless. So I am delighted to award the quintet the Audio Fixation Gold Award. I think Kiwi Ears have done a terrific job here, and I'm really excited to see what they come up with next. For me, it's a no-brainer between the quartet and the quintet. The quartet is £100 cheaper at around the £110 price point. Quintet between £200 to £250 equivalent in dollars, and I think if you can snag them for nearer $200, they're an absolute audiophile bargain at the moment. So this is one situation where you can believe the hype train. As ever, guys, it'd be great to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the content, consider subscribing, hit the like button, and look out for more videos coming very soon. But until next time, take care.